Okay, let's talk to Mohammad Dahleh. He's a human rights lawyer who's been practicing in the Israeli and Palestinian legal systems since 1993. He joins us from occupied East Jerusalem. Many thanks for joining us, Mohammad. So we are seeing more and more examples of Palestinians being freed from Israeli prisons, people who've experienced torture and brutality in Israeli detention, now left to suffer without proper medical treatment in a Gaza starved of supplies. It seems like being released is only really half the story, Mohammed.
You know, one of the stories of the prisoners who was incarcerated after October the 7th, when he arrived to an Israeli jail, the policeman there, or the guard, told him, "Welcome to hell." And that became later on really the title of this period. Those prisoners have been suffering conditions of hell inside the prison, and now that they are released into Gaza with no educational system and there is no medical system, this hell is continuing. I mean, they might be able to breathe fresh air, but their situation is still as bad maybe as it was in the prison. And as you know, in the prison they were suffering psychological torture. They were beaten, they were humiliated, and some of them were even incarcerated without trial. So this situation of the Palestinian prisoners, which is one of the most crucial issues for the Palestinian society, is still ongoing. And as you know, even after the exchange of prisoners, there are still in Israeli prisoners now more than 9,500 prisoners, which is double the amount of prisoners that maybe was in the Israeli prisons prior to October the 7th, which tells you basically that Israel can at any time, it can incarcerate, it can put in jail any Palestinian, and thousands of them even are being put in jail without a charge. There are now 3,500 Palestinians who are in Israeli jails, and they don't know what their charges. They can't defend themselves. They are not being presented with any evidence. They are jailed only under the so-called Israeli administrative detention legislation, which means they are detained for 6 months and then it's being extended without knowing what the reason for their imprisonment is.
Mohammed,
so yeah, it's a situation.
Mohammed, it's extraordinary, the phenomena of arbitrary detention, isn't it? I mean, as far as I understand, Israel is the only country in the world that practices this, and it allows people to be essentially held without charge for unlimited amounts of time. That period can be renewed and renewed and renewed by military courts, can't they? I wonder if you can explain to us, how has the entire prison system in Israel been deliberately weaponized as a mechanism of occupation?
Especially after October the 7th, you know, the motive for revenge among Israeli society, and of course the prison authority is one of them, was so high that they started basically beating, torturing, preventing sleep from any prisoner. They prevented also prisoners from worshiping or from praying, and those who still did that were punished. They were deprived of medical treatment inside the prison, which led to many of the prisoners dying in prison because of ill treatment. And again, the physical and psychological torture was the highlight of this period. Almost all prisoners were suffering from that. And the Israeli prison authority is part of the the system of controlling the Palestinian people and the Palestinian life. That's how they dominate the Palestinians. There is almost no one Palestinian citizen whose relative or himself hasn't been in prison. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of Palestinians since the occupation started that were in Israeli prisons.
Mohammed, you have been a Jerusalem-based human rights lawyer. You've been practicing in both the Israeli and Palestinian legal systems for many, many years now. I mean, Mohammed, given everything we have heard about the horrendous treatment and torture of Palestinians before and after October the 7th, 2023, how important is the notion of justice in the path to peace, a path that we are on apparently now, bringing Israeli soldiers and prison guards accused of rape, torture and cruelty to justice within Israel. We know, for instance, that the law does apparently still work in Israel after the arrest of 10 soldiers last year following the brutal gang rape of a Palestinian prisoner. That was caught on video. Is there any hope that there is any kind of legal safety net still working in Israel?
Not during this period. Maybe in the future, you're talking about peace. You know, if really peace is achieved in this land, then we need a lot of maybe truth and reconciliation committees and investigation committees to basically explore all what happened and to give ability to both peoples to heal. But now the Israeli legal system, unfortunately, has been part of the Israeli apartheid system and the Israeli domination system. Even in those cases, one of them that you mentioned, when they had no option but to take action against some of the Israeli soldiers who were part of sexual assault against Palestinian prisoners. And those incidents are not rare. Sexual assault, even rape of Palestinian prisoners did occur during this period. But even that incident that you mentioned, we know the attack that was on the military legal regime that was trying to take those soldiers into trial, including ministers and members of the Israeli Knesset who were demonstrating against this, who were threatening the prosecutor who wanted to take the case against those soldiers. So no, in the current Israeli legal system, there isn't enough hope that this issue can be well treated. We need a totally different system. The current system is a system that serves an apartheid regime, that serves Jewish supremacy, that serves the domination of the Palestinian people, that doesn't really see the Palestinian people as people. The proclamations and statements by Israeli politicians that the Palestinians are animals or something like that, yes, are actually penetrating to the Israeli legal system. And we see that when we practice in those courts and the way those prisoners are being treated.
Mohammad, really important to hear your thoughts on all of that. Mohammad Dahleh there. Many thanks.
Don't miss out to get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.